I would like to introduce our next speaker, one of the leading members of Refugee Action Collective Australia. Refugee Action Collective Australia is an open democratic activist collective representing a broad cross-section of the community. The man himself, Breen.
Thanks. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Refugee Action Collective and how this bill will affect refugees. But actually, like half of the population, I had a parent who was born overseas. My mother came here as a refugee from the former Yugoslavia from the Second World War. And her mother, my grandmother, my Oma, who came out and spent 2 years at Bonagilla on dirt floors and was very well educated and worked for a cleaner for many years, was not defined by the quality of her English, nor was her right to be here. So in that regard, I'm very pleased that the Coalition's bill is currently facing defeat. I think the changes are a political stunt aimed at smearing, spreading fear about migrants and refugees. And Turnbull and Dutton proved that when they accused Labor of endangering national security. And similarly, the fiasco with the Turnbull government's handling of its own citizenship crisis for its MPs, with the dual citizenship and the survival of its own government, shows up the deliberate and political and divisive way that citizenship is used as a political issue. Alongside the bill, the Coalition is also seeking to restrict the rights of permanent residents. For instance, by taking away funded places for universities, and they're talking more and more about non-citizens. In another piece of unfairness, the legislation hasn't even passed, but Dutton has held up 81,000 citizenship applications, hoping to pass them under the new law. And these changes will hit refugees particularly hard. The English language test harks back to white Australia, and requires, as people have already said, a higher level of English than for many people who were born here. Some may struggle to become citizens, be permanently insecure and excluded. An analysis by Peter Mares suggests as many as 40,000 people would be citizens under the new bill. Refugees want to learn English, but actually they only get 510 hours of English classes. And already the government is discriminating against refugees who arrive by boat, refusing to finalise their refugee applications. It means it's almost impossible for them to bring their family members here. As Taki Azra, Hazara refugee, said at the last rally, he came to Melbourne in 2010, he passed his citizenship in 2016, but he is still waiting. And there are thousands of people who came by boat who are in the same situation. More evidence, I think, of the racism behind this is the new Australian values test, which suggests that Australians have superior values to migrants. People will be asked questions on the test about whether it's lawful to strike your spouse or deny education to girls. These play to racist prejudices about migrants and Muslims in particular. But we need to ask, who is really responsible for violence against women? You need to look no further than Nauru, where the Turnbull government has turned a blind eye to the many documented cases of abuse of women and children there. And if you want to ask who is responsible for denying girls education, again, you look at the girls and the children who've been sent to Nauru and who are not being educated properly there. It's great that Labor has criticised the language test, but I think it also needs to criticise the racist Australian values test. We need to ask the people on Manus and Nauru what they think about Australian values. Is indefinite imprisonment of refugees, 4 years now, on Manus and Nauru, people who've committed no crime, an Australian value? So it's very, very good that Labor is opposing the citizenship bill. It's helped bring it to the brink of defeat. It's a welcome shift after some hesitation. But I think it's also time to rethink support for offshore processing as well. In that regard, it was fantastic to see the ACT Labor government call to bring the people on Manus and Nauru to Canberra. One final point. The Law Council has opposed the new bill because it gives Peter Dutton extraordinary new powers to decide who is fit and proper to be an Australian citizen. But I think we need to say that Peter Dutton is not a fit and proper person to decide anything. Peter Dutton was the person who smeared the whole Lebanese Muslim community as responsible for terrorism, saying they should never have come here. It was Peter Dutton who claimed that illiterate refugees would both be job stealers and dole bludgers at the same time. It was Peter Dutton who denied an asylum seeker who was raped on Nauru the right to have an abortion and come here. It was Peter Dutton who joked about Pacific Islanders drowning as the seas rose. It was Peter Dutton who's lied about people being fake refugees, and Peter Dutton who lied viciously about the cause of the Good Friday shootings on Manus. So I think that Dutton should be sacked and his bill needs to be brought down with him. We need the bill to be voted down. If that doesn't happen, we need to come back again and again until it does. I guess, final point, I'd like to also salute the people around the corner who are marching for equal marriage today, and let you know that the Refugee Action Collective has its next major rally coming up on Sunday, October the 8th, that will be calling to bring the people of Manus and Nauru here. Thank you.
I would like to personally thank to Chris for his invaluable support with organizing this incredible event.